Hi, so today we're going to be talking about emotions. We're kind of taking a little bit of a step back and saying, what is this thing called emotions and why are we even talking about it? Why bother even learning about it or exploring it or getting to know it in different ways? So today we're going to go into a little bit of what emotions are, what's important about them, and how we can use them in our work environment, and ultimately you can use them in your life, in your relationships. So Robin Sharma has a beautiful statement. He says, the business of business is relationships. And if you break that down, it's really useful to start seeing the wisdom in that statement. Because if we look at this word business, we know that business is all about influencing, having an impact, achieving goals and visions and dreams. We don't do business for just because we feel like it. There is a purpose to it. And ultimately, it's there to make money, to improve the economy in some way, shape, or form. And so business is constructed on these things. If we then look at relationships has got to do with every single human being we interact with in that process. Our clients, our suppliers, our colleagues, our boss, our family and friends, our children even, are part of the dynamics of the relationships that we have to achieve those goals. And if we look at all those relationships, well, they are with people. And so people are at the heart of all business. And if we start to then say, let's look at these business facets and let's look at these people facets, I'm not sure we can actually continue to live with the myth of let's leave emotion out of it. Certainly, I don't want to run a business with people that aren't passionate, excited, even scared or insecure or concerned about certain things. Emotions drive everything around business because people show up to do these things. And so we cannot, as I said, continue to live with the myth of leaving emotions out. We need to start acknowledging them. Now, for so long, we have been trying to just keep business to be a logical, rational, an expression of just be professional. So when we arrive at work, living in this belief system of emotions are unprofessional or weak, or, it makes me in some way not be adult or smart or whatever it is, we then end up trying to suppress and ignore the emotions. And this is destructive to the extreme. We have behaviors that start to form then from the suppression of the emotions. Passive-aggressive behaviors, just not replying to emails, just ignoring your calls, rolling your eyes when somebody speaks. Suppressing the emotion, it's still there, but it comes out in bad behavior traits. The opposite extreme is we have people just flying off the handle, just reacting to everything. So because they're not skilled in expressing the emotion in a healthy way, they tend to have tantrums like a 4-year-old would. I've sat in many boardroom meetings, which looks very much like a dinner table of children at home, because of the need to get my point across. And we often call this passion, but it's really not. It's really the inability to express emotions in a healthy way. So to break up with the habits of suppressing and reacting to emotions, we need to learn how to express emotions in a healthy way. And to do that, we need to break up with this belief system that emotions are unprofessional. So let's then explore what emotions are and how can we use them in our workplace? How can we bring them into a healthier way of being? Emotions fundamentally have 3 facets of truth to them that we need to start exploring. The first one is that emotions are natural. There is no single human being on the planet that doesn't have emotions. It is actually the great equalizer. It is the one thing that makes you and me the same, is that you and I have emotions. If you face death and I face death, we both face pain. I'm worried and insecure. I'm fearful. I have excitements and dreams and goals and hopes. So do you. So irrespective of your level in an organization, irrespective of your background, irrespective of your race, irrespective of your gender, there is an emotion. And it is the great equalizer, and it's natural and normal in all human beings. And if we want to make the workplace a more humane place, well then emotions need to be part of that. The second thing is emotions are temporary. If you've been in a bad mood for 40 years, it's time to sort it out, because that is not a natural phenomenon. The only reason that emotions start to become more permanent is because they're being ignored. But when they're attended to, like anything that's given the attention it's asking for, it moves, it shifts, it evolves, and it changes. So when we notice emotion, if we give it the attention it needs, like the waves of the ocean, it can just move. And sometimes we'll have high tide, and sometimes we'll have low tide. And sometimes there'll be some strange sidewash that I didn't see coming. But it always will move, it will always shift and change. The third thing that emotions are is information, and this is the profoundly powerful part of it. Is the reason we call it emotional intelligence is because there is wisdom in your emotions. There's information that you don't have access to yet. The mind has a certain lens of processing the world, but the emotions that come from our unconscious filters, from our body, from our the greater part of our mind, from even our heart and our spirit, it's bringing into sharp focus something that is needed to be seen. In the information that we get when we pay attention to our emotions gives us so much insight into the way we are navigating the world. Emotions are simply the gap between what I'm expecting to happen in my world and what is happening in reality. And that expectation is an unconscious expectation. So these are three truths around emotions, all important for work, all important for relationships, all important for life. It's also important for us to notice what emotions are not. And the one caveat to this, going to sound a little paradoxical, is that emotions are not always factual. Because we can make up stories. I'm not sure if you can do that, but I can make up stories in my head. My body does not know the difference between what I'm thinking and what reality is. And so if I think I'm in an earthquake, my body starts to believe I'm in an earthquake, and there's emotions to it. So we can sometimes construct emotion that is not based on fact. It will always feel true to you, but there may be some sort of interrupt that we need to have in that process. We spoke about that in the fear video quite a bit. And the second important truth around emotions is they are not instructions to act. If you want to be a good 4-year-old, let emotions rule everything you do. And that's going to sound weird because we're talking about bringing emotions into this. But if you act on your emotions, you may well end up behaving in ways that you do not like seeing in yourself. So let's break that down a little bit more. If we can notice all these truths around emotions, and if we can start to say, okay, emotions are valuable in the workplace. The question is, can emotions be professional? Can you show up in a professional working environment and use emotions to help influence, to help make an impact, to help make the sale, to help solve problems? And you can. And there's 3 things that I want to offer you as ways to start doing that. The first, or it's actually 4, the first one we've been dealing with is acknowledging emotions are part of all of this. We've done that. And then we can start to say that the next step is to name an emotion. Language is a very powerful tool. When we have words, we can deal with things. That's why we tell children, use your words. You know? What is the word that describes the way you're feeling? And I promise you, there are a lot more words than fine and pissed off. I actually have a document that has a list of 1,000 words that describe emotions. So developing a way of being able to label and name your emotions so that you can give it structure, you can talk about it, is the starting point for healthy emotional expression. The second is to own it. We often hear the words, use I, not you. And this is a really important time for this. I feel sad, I feel worried, I feel angry is very different to you making me irritated or you making me scared. Nobody can do that to you. You are reacting and responding to it. And when you can own your emotion, you can own the story that's unfolding for you, and you can get that information we were talking about, that wisdom that is there. And this is a constant learning. That's why journaling is such a powerful way of learning how to work with your emotions, because you can see your own dialogue with yourself. And the third thing is learn better responses. I remember somebody coming to me once for coaching around anger management problems, and they'd been going for anger management counseling for a long time. And I said to them, the only problem we have here is that you're not allowing yourself to feel angry. And they were like, but I just told you I have anger management problems. I said, no, anger is fine. You don't know how to behave appropriately when you're angry. And that was a huge awakening for this person, because then we could learn what to do when I'm angry. What are new, healthier ways of expressing that anger? So the anger is not the problem. The behavior becomes something that can be learned and changed. And in order to learn new behaviors, you may need feedback from people. You may need to go to coaches or go on training or learn different things. But I promise you, if you make that the heart of this, you will become a really, really influential person in your relationships. Sending you lots of love. Namaste.